Hi, I'm Kassy, and this is the Spark Connect, a podcast about what brings us to life: connection, creativity, courage, and the moments that spark real change. I'll be your host, bringing my experience as a speaker, consultant, and lifelong believer in showing up as your full self. In this series, Arts and Facilitation, you'll hear from inspiring voices, facilitators, trainers, speakers, and everyday humans who are also artists, lighting up the world in their own unique, creative ways. This is your space to reflect, reset, and reignite, because the spark is already in you. Let's light it up. You're about to meet Edwina Castone, a licensed makeup artist, aesthetician, and learning professional who proves that transformation isn't just skin deep. Edwina has this magical way of connecting makeup artistry with personal growth and education. She talks about contouring confidence, blending vulnerability, and creating spaces where people feel safe enough to shine. Her insights remind us that, just like in learning, you start with a clean canvas, build trust, and layer growth one brushstroke at a time. It's not about covering up. It's about revealing what's already there. As Edwina says, it's all about the journey. And honestly, after this conversation, I don't think you'll ever look at makeup or learning the same way again. Edwina, I'm so excited that you're here today and that we're finally having this conversation, because you are officially my first makeup artist slash facilitator slash trainer. And there is so much to learn from you. And I was about to say something, but I'm going to let you say it. Please introduce yourself. Tell us about your artistry and also the work that you do.
I am so excited to be here. Again, my name is Edwina Castone, and my artistry is makeup. I am a makeup artist, a licensed esthetician in my artistic role, and in my corporate role, I am a culture and engagement program manager.
I love that. I'm just like, how does this happen? How does that, when you were sitting down to the interview to become a culture engagement manager, did I get that right?
An engagement program manager.
Culture and engagement and program manager. Were you like, and so I'm an esthetician and a makeup artist, and here's what I'm going to bring to culture and engagement? I'm guessing that's not how it went, but I wanted it to go that way.
Like, that would have been awesome. I could have skipped a couple of steps, actually. Let me say that. So, it is interesting because I discover makeup, I am introduced to it, I discover instructional design and training and development. All of these are things that people brought to me. Like, someone tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, have you ever thought about makeup? Hey, have you ever thought about instructional design and technology?" And I, to be candid, didn't. But it was just people coming in and the right pieces falling into place that allowed me to be able to kind of merge, be able to have that creative outlet, as well as that people, and both are people roles.
They're both people, they're both transforming people, right? Transforming people and in completely different ways, helping to boost their confidence. So was makeup first or learning and development first?
Makeup was first.
Okay. So you're sort of an artist who became the trainer rather than
Yes.
the trainer who became the artist. Okay.
Yeah, makeup
Yeah.
was
So you said makeup came to you, like it wasn't something you thought of. You weren't a little girl and saying, I want to be a makeup artist when I grow up. So what's the story of how you came to becoming an esthetician and a makeup artist?
So essentially, I was going to school, learning, obviously trying to figure things out. And I was approached by one of my best friends. And it was interesting because at the time we didn't know we would establish this relationship. We didn't know that we would be having this conversation. And so I had the opportunity, I'll say, to come and see her work, come and see the things that she does. And she took me under her wing and said, I really would like for you to do this. Like, you spent, and mind you, I was one of those individuals. Makeup wasn't something that I did as a little girl and said, I want to wear lipstick when I grow up. I want to it was something that as an adult, I became interested in.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could relate to you on that because you know what? People know that I collect Barbie. vintage Barbies from the 60s, the early ones, 1959 to be exact. But I did not collect Barbie as a kid. I did not play with Barbie
Really?
at all. It came to me as an adult thing. And it was because I liked her clothes and I was a vintage clothing collector. And I'm like,
Oh,
that's my favorite
wow.
outfit. I actually own that outfit. So it's funny. That's interesting we share that.
I'm gonna tell you, it was interesting because I was one of the people that would go and spend, and I probably shouldn't say this, so you, me, and your audience will know this. I was one of those individuals who would go and spend like 2 or $300 at the store and then not do anything with the makeup because I
Listen,
didn't know what to do with it.
yeah,
And so, like I said, when I met with my friend, she was absolutely like, "You need to stop doing that. At least if you're not gonna wear it,
yeah.
do something with it." And that's how I got started in makeup. And
Oh,
essentially, it got to the point that I was going out, doing fashion shows, doing events, and I wanted to learn more. So I decided to go to school. I decided to get licensed. And in where I'm located in Michigan, you can work in a store and not be licensed because you're selling a product, you're doing a demo. So I knew I wanted to learn more. I knew I wanted to do more. So I decided to go to school. The first place I went to school was great, but they weren't getting me towards licensing. So then I decided, okay, let me go and everyone was extremely supportive of me in doing it. And I will tell you, the first day that I went to school, I was like, this is what I was looking for. This is the education that I was trying to get. And it was very hands on. I was very knowledgeable.
what kind of school are we talking about? Is it cosmetology or?
Cosmetology, yeah.
Okay.
So in Michigan, you can do it's aesthetics, but it's cosmetology, and aesthetics falls under cosmetology.
Okay. So you're not, are you also an esthetician? Did you go on to do that as well?
Mhm.
Okay. Which is separate from cosmetology, right? That's a whole nother, yeah.
Right. Cosmetology is the full breadth of everything. So you're doing hair, you're doing nails, you're doing everything.
Okay.
Aesthetics is skincare. Aesthetics is the layers of the skin and making sure that you're not diagnosing, but you're servicing those.
Yes. Yeah. I'm actually very, very familiar with such things, not from delivering it, but from receiving.
Which is also very nice. It's so funny because I was just telling my daughter Larissa, I was like, "Hey, she's like, can we play spa day?" And I was like, "Sure." So we're doing the spa, and I'm giving her like a mini facial, the hot towel, and she's like, "That was so relaxing."
That's so funny. I just love, what you wrote and what you shared with me ahead of time about your art form. I just want to read what you wrote and then have you tell us more about it. So Edwina says, I bring a little magic and a lot of mascara as a licensed makeup artist and esthetician. I love transforming faces and boosting confidence, helping others look and feel good. When I'm not blending shades, I'm snapping shots with my spouse as he picks up his camera to capture life's best angles. Because she's not only a makeup artist, an esthetician, a fabulous L&D professional, but you also dabble in photography. So we have a multifaceted artist here, and you bring so much of that to the work you do. It's just so cool. Tell us more about that. I just love the way you wrote that, transforming faces and boosting confidence.
It's interesting because I didn't realize. So when Paul calls it getting in the zone, my husband, he calls it getting in the zone. And he would notice that we would go to these events, and I always asked him to take pictures because I was notorious for forgetting to take my own pictures. And
Yeah.
so he would take pictures for me, and I would be, as we sometimes all are my own worst critic. I would say, "Oh, I should have did this or I should have did that." He was like, "Edwina, you don't realize that when you're doing the makeup, because you're so focused on that individual in your chair, helping them to feel good about whether they're walking down the stage to model a outfit or whether they're having their wedding day, you don't see the people fighting to get in your chair. Because when you are with that person, you only focus on them. You only focus on making sure that they feel confident, they feel transformed, and not because they're being transformed into a completely different entity, but they're metamorphosing into a better version of themselves, that confident version of themselves. And he was the one who triggered that for me, who connected those dots for me, because I was so focused on, I wish I would have did this, this, this. And he's like, you need to look at what you're doing when that individual gets into your chair and the light that you bring to them, help them to see in themselves, and then they get out the chair. And I was missing that completely. He
Of
was the
course
one
you
who
were.
helped me.
We don't always see in ourselves. What is his name?
Paul.
Kudos to Paul. So I have to be honest, I didn't put two and two together, but it's so obvious what you're describing when we talked about you're a makeup artist and you do L&D. It didn't occur to me until, of course, you start telling me all these things, and I'm like, it is so obvious. So tell me how you're bringing this to the training that you do. Like, have there ever been times when you're teaching a class or you're up there delivering an engagement session, like you talked about, and all of a sudden you're thinking about the makeup and how you're, like, what's the process that you go through with the makeup? I don't know even how to ask the question, but I think you know where I'm going. How does it come together?
Both worlds you have to plan. I mean, even down to if I'm thinking about, what do I want to do, especially if I'm doing a fashion show and I've never seen this person before. That's where I have to think through in my head, okay, what is my foundation? Where then once I move from my foundation, what is my structure? Once I went and with all of that, I'm kind of doing that needs analysis. Okay, what do they need? Do they need if there's a blemish, do they need that covered? If there's a opportunity to fix a brow, do I need to address that? I do that needs analysis first and then go into, okay, now that I've got that, what am I going to deliver in the time frame that I have? What's my goal? Because again, just like in our training or in that L&D world, I could be, if I had a year to do anything, I'd be able to do it. But usually I have maybe a week, sometimes a few days, maybe a couple weeks if I'm doing good, or longer. If I'm in a chair or if I have someone in a chair and I'm doing their makeup, I could have 15 minutes, I could have 2 hours. What am I going to address in that time frame? So that's part of having that big picture of deciding, okay, I have my canvas, I have my goal of what I want to do, I've done my needs assessment. Now let's get to work.
And then all the style comes in after that, right? You have the basics and the foundations, and then there's the time frame, and then that's where you start to get into the style of what's going to be the feel. What are we going after? Is this upbeat? Is it, yeah, it's very interesting to
Exactly.
me.
Well,
Yeah.
it is upbeat, and also, does it fit what that individual needs? Because think about our learners. Do our learners need, some learners go real fast, some learners are visual, some learners learn by what does the person in the chair
Yeah,
need? What does my learner need? And what do I want them to walk away with? I know
that's right.
for makeup, I want them to walk away with that confidence. I want them to walk away feeling good about themselves. It's the same thing for if I have somebody in a training that I'm facilitating or a virtual module I'm designing. I want that same thing. I want them to walk away with something, that
Right.
confidence that they picked up something, that they can do something with it.
Yeah, what I was thinking about was, like, you have the tone of the event. Like, is this an upbeat tone? Is this a dark and brooding one? I'm thinking about a fashion show. And so then, your makeup is going to align with that tone. But then, like in L&D, just like you said, or in training, you have what the learner needs. And usually you've got to appeal to all those different things that might be going on. But there's also a tone of that learning. The onboarding class is different in tone and in nature than the here's an update for the new software that we just received. And so it's so interesting. There's all these different things going on. And also, I just wanted to put this in there, the timing thing, when you brought that up, is several years ago, my husband and I hosted a Halloween party. We have a great location and house for Halloween parties, and just the way it is situated and the way it's laid out. And I also happen to love Halloween. So we hosted this epic Halloween party, and we went to a makeup artist to be professionally transformed into vampires to
Oh,
host
I
the
love
show.
it.
And I had a band here and everything. It was an amazing Halloween party. I need to do it again. But
Let us
my
know.
husband was absolutely stunned. He thought that getting his makeup done, which his was like a quarter of what was done to me. Um,
That sounds about right.
it's usually how it goes. But it still took like solid 2 hours to put him together as a vampire, and he couldn't believe it. And the level of annoyance was perfect for his attitude as the king of the vampires that night.
I lo I don't think guys are very, so it depends. Men who are in the industry know that there's makeup needed. Paul, I think I have officially done his makeup probably 3 times, and one was when we were in Japan. So, I'm not sure how much of that counts.
Tell us some more about I love you. You think of me as the unicorn of learning. I design and lead all kinds of experiences. And I think that's really interesting. And you talk a lot about blended journeys. And when I was reading that about your work, which I know that about your work already, I thought that the word blended just took on a whole level of meaning that I hadn't thought before. Blended from the perspective of the makeup artist. Tell us some more
Right.
about that.
So, yeah, one of the things, especially with everything that's happening nowadays, you have artificial intelligence coming into the mix. You have the different modes. You have micro learnings. When I think about the blended journeys, there's an opportunity for everyone, including myself, including us, to be able to go. And Paul is always saying to me, like, it's not, how you get there. It's that you're taking this journey and you're experiencing it and you're going along and it's happening and you're there and you're doing it. And it's in the moment. And so many times, even if I'm not doing makeup, like when someone comes to me and they say they have this vision, I'll tell you an example. We had a bride several years ago whose makeup we did a trial, and she was like, I don't know. She was thinking about it, thinking about it. She knew she wanted to go with me. So that wasn't the problem. She was just like, she didn't know that the look that we had done was the look she wanted. And I was like, "Okay." I said, "That is absolutely fine." I said, "Let's look at some lipstick shades. Let's think through some making recommendations for lipstick shades, picking them up for her. We're going through." And this was for it was a beautiful backyard wedding. Absolutely amazing. And long story short, we get to the day of her wedding and I'm doing her makeup and I'm all in, super focused, doing it. And towards the end, I'm like, okay, let's look because we got to get you sprayed, get you ready. And I give her the mirror and she's like, oh my God, Edwina, you knew exactly what to do. I should have just let you go. And I was like, and I'm grateful because I'm like, that was just off the top of my head, but I say all that to say the blended journeys is an opportunity for us to go and bring others along. It's an opportunity for us to bring them along for the ride. And in the end goal being that you have the opportunity, it sticks, or we're happy with it. Now, she could have easily said, hey, you know what? It wasn't what I was thinking. But I think so much of that pressure for us as learning and development individuals, for our learners, because there's pressure for them too. For myself as a makeup artist, for the person who's sitting in the chair, there's all these things happening. And there's an opportunity for us to take a deep breath and say, okay, we're here. Let's do it. And the journey is a journey. The outcome's the outcome. We will make the best of it that we will.
This
So
is beautiful. What I'm hearing is along the journey are these opportunities for connection, and we're building trust and getting to know each other. By the time you arrived at that day, you had been through these things and you knew her and she trusted you. And so it was allowed to become something more real and more beautiful and more natural because of that, because of the trust that you had built along that journey.
and I agree too, because thinking about it, it's the same when we're talking about learning and development. Us as facilitators, our learners are trusting us and we're trusting them to take something away from this conversation, away from this learning, away from this training. You're absolutely, I love, you said that much more eloquently than I did.
No, I got to sit and listen to all that happening. I was just observing what you were saying and what you were in the moment of, because like I said, sometimes when we are in it, we don't necessarily know so much what's going on. We're just feeling it, you know. It's really, really cool. I think about that when I'm teaching my classes too, that I have a plan for I have the design and what we're going to do, and then I bring it and offer it. And they respond, and sometimes they respond exactly as expected, and then that's perfect because my plan is going to guide them right to that next spot. Other times they respond, and I'm like, where in the world did that come from? And I often go like baby trainer Kassy would be like, it's a no, regroup people, we're going this way. I wasn't really like that, but I was a lot more scared, and the trainer that I am today is like, oh my gosh, an amazing thing just happened and we're going to go with it. And that's when my plan goes out the window and I start creating more things on the fly and figuring out how we're going to do it. And then I stress later on how we'll get through what I planned.
Well, I love that analogy though, because I am all for a plan. I like planning with the understanding that there may be a big a change, whatever that is. As long as I've got that foundation, I'm okay with that. So
All
that's
the words are
what
going to
I
be
love.
makeup words from here on out. Blending, foundation. Can we talk about contour for just a moment? Where does contour play out in our learning and
That's
development?
a good one. Let's see how contour plays into learning and
Listen,
development.
I leaned into contouring when the webcams became the main focus. I was like, I don't need contour, Kim Kardashian. Who cares? And then I was like, wait, contour just changed my life. Right?
I gotta think of what contouring is. I'll think about that. What is contouring in
What is
relation to
contouring
learning
as
and
it plays
development?
out in L&D? What does contour do, Edwina? Tell me from a makeup artist perspective, when we're using all of these varying shades of whatever it is, usually a shade of brown, what are we doing when we contour?
So contour allows you to shape the face. It allows you to basically bring back a lot of the color that you take away when you put foundation on your face. So it's basically helping you to reshape it. You can change, you can contour your face to look like someone else. You could
Yeah.
contour your face to just have it be a enhancement. It allows you to light or shadow your facial features.
Different areas. Like when you said shape, that's the key. So lightening areas, darkening areas, drawing light and attention to different places. So there we go. In learning and development, how do we shape the learning experience? Where do we draw
So
more attention to, and where can we pull attention away from? And in what ways can we contour this experience for the learners?
I love that. Oh, look, we did it. We
We
did
did
it.
it. No research needed. It's done. We did it for everyone. You're welcome. As soon as you said shape the face, I was like, shape the learning experience. I love that so much. It's so interesting. I love the part too where you talk about like you've got a lot of experience with after having done the aesthetic work, how people feel about themselves. And I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about just some of those experiences because it happens in learning and development too. In our classes, people have light bulb moments or aha moments where they learn what they need, and we've all been there when that person gets what they need and they tear up or whatever it may be, right? Let's talk about that for a moment. Probably a lot of that drives the work we do anyway, right?
I think a lot of it does. And I think I've had individuals who, and don't get me wrong, you can't change the skin texture, but makeup is a tool. It is a way that people can enhance their beauty. And one of the things that I've had individuals who sit in my chair who are like, well, I don't know how to put on makeup or makeup doesn't look right on me. And then they can get out the chair and they're like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that this was something that was possible. They didn't know. I had one individual who had such severe acne that they just said, I don't put makeup on. I just don't do it. And I was like, well, let's see what happens. And their mind is blown because they just didn't take the time. And no one thought to take the time to have a conversation with them. I was someone who my skin for the longest time was just all over the place. And I'm the first person whenever someone says, your skin looks amazing. I'm like, it's all makeup. It's all makeup. You
Yeah.
can do it too if you want to. It's
And you know
all
what my answer is? My answer is it's all the red lip. You're too distracted to notice anything else. So there you go.
like that.
That's my trick. And a pair of glasses and a red lip. There you go. We're good to
Like I
go.
told, I'm like, I love I always have to have my glasses on. But that's literally what it is. It's being able to, I think sometimes, just like earlier when I mentioned that Paul helped to show me that it was a transformational experience, but I was just so close to it that I wasn't seeing it happening. It's the same thing. Someone sits down or they attend a training and they come out of it. And don't get me wrong, they have to be willing and open-minded and invested in doing it. Like that's a lot of trust going into a class or paying for money for a session or paying for a makeup artist to come and do something like that. There's a lot of trust there. And so you take that and then you're also saying, okay, so we're doing this, we're having this experience, and what comes out on the other end, hopefully, is something that's mutually beneficial to all. I am always amazed by the canvases that I'm allowed to work on. And I tell people that all the time. They're like, "Oh, you made me look so amazing." I'm like, "But you're the canvas. You allowed me to be able to do this."
You are amazing.
You
And
know,
we're
thank you.
just going to highlight that. Every word now is a makeup word, by the way, and I did not plan that. I really think that, what I've known of you for the years that I've known you, you're so kind and gentle and loving and caring. And I feel like as we're having this conversation, I'm thinking about vulnerability and I'm thinking about how, when we are vulnerable, people are drawn to us. And I feel like as I'm listening to you describe the work that you do both in corporate L&D and as a makeup artist, it's really about managing those vulnerabilities and helping people to find that confidence through that. And you bring that so nicely and so naturally. It's just wonderful to be around you.
Well, I am so grateful. I'm grateful for you, giving me the opportunity to share. I'm grateful for you noticing that and highlighting that because sometimes it's a double-edged sword because you can put your vulnerabilities out there and there are people who will take advantage of that, right? And I work really hard, whether it's in learning and development or whether it's in training facilitation or makeup, to recognize that whether or not someone takes a positive exchange out of what I'm bringing to the table, I can control the positivity that I bring to it. And again, I've had people who've sat in my chair and there is a hard conversation I have to get them to get to the point of trusting in me and themselves, their confidence, into allowing me to be able to do that work. The cool thing is once we get past that, I'm able to bring them along and for the individuals, I'm not going to say there's not ever been a time where I've had someone sit down and say, I just don't see it when we're doing makeup. But the takeaway for me is I gave it my all. I still kept that positivity and I didn't let it bring me down, which a lot of people struggle with, I feel.
When you said that sometimes you have to have a hard conversation, what do you mean? Like what's an example of that?
Well, because sometimes you can have someone sit in your chair and they're like, I don't think you can do anything for me. I don't
Okay.
think you can change the way I feel about how I'm feeling. Right there, that seed, I can try to focus all that energy on changing that mind, or I can do my work and let it speak for itself.
Okay.
And I
Yeah.
would say 99% of the time, my work speaks for itself. The 1% that it doesn't, it's just that individual is just like set in their ways and are not going to change. And I'm okay with that, you know?
I mean, we've had these learners in our classes.
Mhm.
They're the
Yes.
same type of situation. They're not the same people, but it's the same thing as something going on internally for them that all we can do is just be our best us and do our best work. And they have to decide how they're going to receive that and what they're going to do with it. And I think that's a big lesson for all of us in L&D to learn. And it's a hard lesson to have to learn, but we have to because you can't make all the people happy all the time. And so as soon as you stop trying to do that, and you continue to make yourself happy and stand tall in the work that you do, that will work.
It's just so hard because 'cause I'm a people pleaser.
So, yeah, a lot of us in L&D actually are. I kind of love this question. If you could stand on a stage and shout one truth about art and creativity of the world, what would it be?
I would say pick one thing and then stick with it. Because so many times, I think in this day and age, we're very, very in the moment and we're very, very immediate satisfaction. And we're very, very, trying to get this instant gratification. And that's from multiple areas, multiple things happening. And I think sometimes when individuals have a situation where they're like bombarded by a ton of things happening and a ton of things coming their way, that's overwhelming. So if you can pick one thing to zen yourself, to level set yourself, even if it's for one thing for a week, one thing for 2 weeks, one thing for an hour, I think that helps us to move from all the things that are in the fray and say, okay, here's my one thing. even when I'm doing makeup, I look at someone's face and I will ask them, I'll say, what's the one thing that you like about yourself? Is it your brows? Is it your eyes? Is it your lips? Is it your nose? Is it your cheekbones? What's the one thing that you like? Because if I could take that one thing, then I've already created a mutually beneficial relationship with them. I've already taken the one thing that I know they like that I can bring to the next level, that I can take to the nth degree, that I can bring some positivity. And it's the same for our learners. They're getting all these things thrown at them, but if I could take the one thing they're confident in, the one thing that they want to learn or grow or improve, that goal, and support them in achieving that goal, I've done my work. Now, I know there's a lot that has to happen. There's a lot more that goes into it, but in that instance, we've met one thing. We've checked the box. We've created a goal. We've mutually benefited one another with that one thing.
In that one moment, it'll be more than enough.
Mhm.
It'll be memorable and it will make a big impact. And it'll be enough to move forward to do more. It's just what they need. And the fact that we stop and even ask, and then you pay attention, people want to be seen and heard. And that's that moment. It's funny, it aligns with, I'm often teaching people how to manage an online training session and how to be good at that. And I'll tell them, as I'm thinking about makeup, and I'm thinking, I got to learn lips. I got to learn contour. I got to learn foundation. I got to learn blending. I got to learn eyes. Forget it. The eyes is the hardest for me. I got to learn brows. It's a lot, but really you just need to focus on one. And it's the same advice that I give people in virtual training moments when they're learning. I'm like, become the master of chat over the next 2 weeks. Just get really good, because they're like, I always miss the chat. And I'm like, well, chat's your game then. You're going to hang out at the chat. You're going to watch chat. And you're not going to worry about annotating and unmuting and cameraing. You're not going to worry about being perfect and all those other features. Your focus for the next however much time you want to devote to it, 3 to 5 training sessions, is you're going to become the chat queen. Not that that's all you're doing, but rather that's your focus. And then once you've nailed that, just now, okay, now annotation makes me real uncomfortable. All right, annotation queen, commence. Here it goes. It's that one thing.
It really is, because I think about, and I love that you tell people, like, okay, if that's the thing that is scary for you, that's the thing you want to focus on. That's the thing. I tell, whether it's men or women, I talk to them about, okay, you know what your favorite feature is. What's your least favorite feature?
Yeah, that's that opposite, isn't it? Because there's value in starting with what you love first.
Well, it is.
Yeah.
But the value in starting with what you love first is it builds that confidence, so that then once you've built that confidence, now you can go to the thing that, if I have someone who says, well, I love my lips, but my eyebrows, I need to I gotta work on that. I don't Okay, so what, that's easy, because you already know the lip color you like. So maybe try a lip liner, or try a glossy lip or a matte lip, something you don't go to often, but that's your favorite feature. Now do something different with your eyebrows. Highlight them, or just use a brow gel, or do a little bit of a line under your eyebrows, and just see if that, because it's those little steps, to your point, that allows them to continue to build that confidence, because they've got the foundation, and it all goes back to that one thing. They've got their foundation. Now they're going to the next one thing, and they're continuing to grow on it. And lo and behold, if you take it step by step, you've gone on this journey. Now you have a full face of makeup, and you're like, I didn't know it was that easy. Before, it took me so long before I actually got through everything to do makeup. Now I can do my face in 5 minutes, and I'm okay with that.
There's always developments, as there are in the way that we teach people things. There's always developments in and new technologies and new ways of doing things. I know that the popularity of all the makeup in the sticks nowadays, I love that. The level of laziness that has entered into my life by just drawing marks on my face and blending and going out of the face. It's quicker, and I'm wearing less makeup. It's great. I'm happy about all of this.
I tell people all the time, there's always an opportunity to make it work for you. It goes back to that one thing. Pick the thing that works for you. If it is, and I've had individuals who are like, well, I don't like foundation. You don't have to wear foundation. You can put on the blurring primer and that be the thing. And the lip and you're done. Like it's really thinking about, to your point, what works for you and then going with it.
It's amazing how everything you and I are talking about with makeup is a total metaphor for learning and developing learning and experiencing learning. It's really incredible. It's been an absolutely incredible conversation with you, Edwina, and I want to thank you for your time and for all the creativity that you bring to our learning and development world. It is beautiful. Where can people connect with you?
Well, thank you. I am grateful and ecstatic, and people can always connect with me on LinkedIn. I am there. I'm going to start being much more active, so more to come. I'm super excited and I'm grateful that you gave me this opportunity. I thought this was such an amazing thing, and I was just like, so I love it. And I can't wait to see the others. I'm super stoked.
It's awesome. It's as wonderful as you bring to it. The other guests are so cool too, and you are just a shining light among all of them. It's been a joy speaking with you, Edwina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
That's your spark. Now go light something up. And hey, if this episode lit you up, share it with a friend, a fellow facilitator, or someone who needs a little more connection in their day. Be sure to follow the Spark Connect so you don't miss what's next. We've got more brilliant voices, bold ideas, and heart-forward conversations coming your way. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and keep showing up.